I'm the best there is at what I do, bub. And what I do best? Head swaps. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. I've previously looked at the Sabretooth half of the Marvel Legends 50 Years Wolverine 2-pack, but today it's all about Logan. Starting with the packaging, and as I've previously said, I really like this window box. Not only do you have that 50 Years logo up top, you've got the Wolverine logo down here, but then on the corners you've got these slash marks leading to the spines. Logan naturally is on one side, with Sabretooth on the other, and then flipping around you see the full image on the back. This is original artwork created specially for this box. It draws inspiration, albeit loose inspiration, from this cover and includes a small bio. In terms of boxes, we can debate whether or not Marvel Legends is the best there is at what they do, but there's no question that for packaging, this Wolverine gets 5 points. Moving on to presentation, and to the crown of his hat, Logan stands at 5 3/4 inches, or thereabouts 15 centimeters, which as most of us know is perfect as Wolverine is only 5'3". Full disclosure, I don't have any other comic style civilian Logan figures. That said, I do know the lower extremities are reuse. And even if I didn't know for sure, the pin knees are a dead giveaway. I really like the belt and the buckle. Not only is the buckle well sculpted, there's a bit of paint in there to bring that detail out, and the stitching on the belt gives it a very authentic leather look. And that's to say nothing of the denim texture on the jeans themselves. Really nice stitching there. The shoes are simple, but I imagine they're actually cowboy boots underneath. Otherwise, to the best of my research, the top half is new, especially given that the elbows are pinless. A lot of collectors get frustrated by this kind of half and half pin system, though admittedly it doesn't bother me quite as much. To be honest, I'm just more grateful that the sculpted and painted detail of the roll-up sleeve continues in the joint. And in general, I do really like the way this torso's been sculpted. Not only does the shirt have some nice texture, but it also has all the fabric tugs and buttons. Additionally, and Hasbro went in to paint a bit of extra chest hair for Logan, and that hairiness extends to his forearms and the tops of his hands. I feel like it would have been really easy and cost-effective for them to cheap out and not do the tops of the hands, so I appreciate it. I'll also point out that button-up shirts don't usually look that good with diaphragm joints, but this one works. Of course, the showstopper is the head. It's been sculpted and painted nicely, his blue eyes are particularly piercing, and of course he has his signature mutton chops. The whole thing is topped off with a cowboy hat. I'm not sure if this part's new, but either way it looks good. It's fascinating to me how there are more civilian figures of Wolverine than probably just about any superhero, and that was even before the movies decided his uniform was a tank top and jeans. I guess it's because his claws and hair make him iconic no matter what he wears. Either way, I'm very happy with this one. So happy, in fact, that for presentation, I'm giving this Cowboy Canuck 5 points. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and slash that like button. Moving on to Posability, and there are a couple of things that interest me about this. From the top, his head is on a ball joint at a disc swivel. Despite that swivel hinge, Logan can only look up this high. That, however, is due to a combination of the hair and collar. Here he is looking straight, and here he is really burying the chin. To the figure's credit, there is a bit of tilt, and of course side to side. Moving on down, and Wolverine can raise his arms 90 degrees. Complete rotation of the shoulders with some detents in there. No butterfly joint or anything like that, but he does have bicep swivel, and I am very impressed by the bend on these pinless double jointed elbows. Swivel hinge wrists, of course. They can bend up this far, and bend down this far. Moving to the middle though, and Logan has a diaphragm joint and a waist cut. That only allows for him to arch back this far. Here he is standing straight, and here he is hunching forward. It might not be the best crunch in the world, but it is better than the average DC Multiverse figure. He can also tilt side to side, as well as slash, but thanks to the waist swivel, he can also turn there. Below that shiny gold belt buckle, and Logan has ball jointed hips. He can only kick this high, and he can only split this wide. He does, however, have thigh cut, and an okay bend on the double jointed knees. Moving all the way down, and one nice surprise is that there's actually a ball joint in the ankle, so he can swivel side to side. Logan also gets hinge, but you do have to fight against the pants, and pivot. An ab crunch would have absolutely elevated the arch back and hunch forward, but I do love that more natural tilt and twist of the diaphragm joint. Beyond that, the articulation is okay. Not as much range as I'd like to see, but not bad. For Posability, I'm giving Logan 3 points. Moving on to Playability, and we've got to address the Sabretooth in the room. Not only only is this set a 2-pack, but if we're honest, the Sabretooth is the main attraction. I'm not saying this Logan isn't good, I like him a lot, but I can't help but wonder how many people would have bought this figure by himself had this figure not been part of the deal. So in that regard, the number one accessory for this Logan would be Sabretooth. Beyond that, he comes with an alternate smirking head, which is a lot of fun, and an alternate set of hands with the claws retracted. The left hand is open and gestury. The right hand is accessory holding, specifically to hold these playing cards. I love the idea that Xavier's school has its own privately branded set of cards, and those cards have been painted really well. I might just have to build a bar diorama. But playability is more than accessories, extra figures, or the promise of future backdrops. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. The closest thing we have to another X-Man in civilian gear would be the Love Triangle 3-pack version of Cyclops, looking like his mom made him wear a jacket over his Halloween costume. That said, for a couple of other Cyclopses, and here's X-Men 97 and Astonishing, I suppose you could make the argument that these are Jubilee's civilian clothes as well as her costume. And of course there is Mohawk Storm. Rounding out the rest of the team, however, are the Love Triangle 3-pack and X-Men 97 versions of Jean Grey, retro card versions of Rogue and Gambit. To answer your question, yes, Gambit can hold the cards, and then here he is with Beast. For a few Wolverine villains though, and here we have Lady Deathstrike, Cyber from the 5-pack, with Marvel Select and Marvel Legends versions of Sabretooth. Lastly, and for another superhero who's no stranger to civilian-style figures, and here we have a couple of versions of Peter Parker, which is a perfect segue to a relative scale comparison with Pete's Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man, and as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Of course, I know what you want to see are some head swaps. For the purposes of this video, I'm only going to be showing other heads on this body, mainly because I don't think most of us are looking for regular Wolverine in a cowboy hat. With that said, let's start things off with the retro card brown and orange. This head is pretty old and pretty outdated, and to be honest, I don't see anybody going for this one. Still, I'd be remiss if I didn't show you. I actually feel the same way about the Love Triangle 3-pack. Even at the time, I never cared for this head, and it is way too small for this body. It actually wasn't until the training uniform figure that we got a static Logan head that I liked. To my eye, this is Logan right off the comic book page. And you know what? It looks perfect here. I'd go so far as to say it's the same basic look, just without the cowboy hat. The best part is that the training uniform figure comes with an additional head. This one is a growly, snarly look, for a very similar look, and here we have the crucified Wolverine from the 5-pack. Naturally, this head works, and gives the impression that he's in the middle of a Sabretooth battle. The 5-pack also has an alternate screaming head. I absolutely love this, but the good news is if you want that head without the 5-pack, you can get it with the Bonebreaker Wave version. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that the skin tones match a little bit better on this one, unless of course your tastes skew a bit more animated. Unfortunately, the skin tones don't match, but if you're patient, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Hasbro didn't make this combination part of their X-Men 97 series. All they need to do is paint the shirt yellow. For a very different kind of Logan, and here's Hugh Jackman from the Deadpool Legacy Collection. Obviously, this figure is a bit short for Hugh Jackman, but the head still looks good on it, and he also has an alternate screaming one. And you know what? I think for this one, we can look at the other way around. Again, this is very tall for Wolverine, but the head does fit well, and the colors are a nice match. And again, you do have the option of the alternate smiling one. Lastly, and for another one of my favorites, and here's 85 Years. As much as I love the other three that I showed off earlier, this one is really good. It's a perfect fit for this body, and I really hope that Hasbro gives us a few more expressions in this style. Which one is your favorite? Sound off in the comments. If all Hasbro had given Logan was the extra head and hands, that probably would have been enough, but the cards are a really fun addition. But then you factor in Sabretooth, to say nothing about the potential for head swaps, and for playability, this set most definitely gets 5 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price, and for once, I actually have good news. This spectacular set is still available on Amazon for $75 or Big Bad Toy Store for only $60. And if for some reason all you want is Logan, you can get him loose on eBay for only $20. For price, I'm giving Logan 5 points, averaging out to a very good total of 4.6 out of 5. For more Wolverine videos, check out one of these, and until next time, play nice, bub, and have fun.